Hello, this is Louanne Moldovan. Welcome to today's conversation with Maggie Fox and Sue Ryding from LipService, all the way in the UK. We are going to be talking about Withering Looks, which is this latest recording for Signet Radio Hour. Welcome, Maggie Fox and Sue Ryding, all the way from Manchester, England.
Hello. Hello. We finally meet, even if it's across Zoom.
We finally meet. We have quite a history.
We do.
Signet discovered Withering Looks, gosh, it had to be over 15 years ago, I think. And it is known, I want to say Maggie and Sue are known as the UK's Laurel and Hardy of literary deconstruction, says The Guardian, very esteemed newspaper. Withering Looks itself is known as a comic gem, a side-splitting literary spoof from a distinctly female perspective. Maggie and Sue wrote this piece. They act out all the roles. This is what they do with LipService, and they will tell you a lot more about that in a few minutes. But I just wanted to say, when we discovered this truly comic gem, Louisa Sermel, Vanna O'Brien played the roles, which I directed, and we did it for several incarnations. We performed it at least 3 different theaters in Portland, Oregon, and it was just a hit. I used to go to every single show. I never got tired of it. I laughed every time as though it was the first time I saw it. And this is a huge treat to be able to Zoom with Maggie and Sue. We decided to do this for Signet Radio Hour because I believed it could work for audio only, and I feel that we have succeeded. And I just want to say again, welcome to Maggie and Sue. And I want to hear about how you came up with LipService and how Withering Looks was born. So whoever would like to dive in.
When we were drama students at Bristol University, and for our final year showcase, we were in a production of Ibsen's The Lady from the Sea, which is a very, very serious Swedish tragedy in 5 very long acts. Is it Norwegian?
Oh, it is Norwegian, Maggie. Ibsen, yes.
Scandinavian.
There you go.
And we thought we were being very serious, and the audience was just on the floor laughing, which was a bit of a tragedy for Ibsen. But after that, we kind of thought, actually, that's something we've got going. We've got this kind of comic chemistry together. And so when we left university and moved to London, we thought, well, let's try doing some stand-up comedy. Mm. So we did the kind of pubs and clubs circuit, which is quite tough, doing our double act.
Sue, did you do that together? You and Maggie performed stand-up together?
We did, yeah, we did. And at that time, there were no women on that circuit. But there was a movement which was called the Alternative Cabaret Circuit, which was humour that was non-racist, non-sexist. And that was a kind of new thing that was born in London at that time. So we became part of that circuit.
And how did that lead to satirizing great literature?
Well, because we were doing stand-up, we were standing behind a mic and or 2 mics, and we would create these sketches, which then seemed to accumulate more and more props. And we did a sketch about, which was called the clarinet and ironing board sketch, which was a sort of spoof, modern, plinkety-plonk, biscuit barrel type music. I can say this because my brother's a new music composer, but so that was sort of spoofing that, and people would go, oh, why that you're getting in the way of the drums if you've got these flipping props. And we thought, actually, why don't we do a theatre show, and not bring all these props to the stand-up, but have them ourselves. So there was that, but also we were always, because we were the only women act around, we were always slotted in between 2 men, and once these men back then, I mean, I'm sure they're lovely now, but back then, they would shout into the microphone and everybody would be like plastered against the walls. And then we would come on, and our humour is much more Flopsy Bunny, it's much more subtle. It sort of comes underneath rather than banging you on the head. And so that was really difficult, because then you have to change the atmosphere in the theatre. And then when you'd gone off, there'd be another ranting person, a man. So that
and they would give you notes, wouldn't they? They would come up and say, "That was great, girls. Just a couple of notes about your act."
Wow.
And of course, there's no way that they would have taken that from you.
Right.
So they were the experts on the comedy experts. So we just got fed up of it, really, and thought, let's do theatre, let's do a whole evening. So what could we write about? And we happened to go up to the Bronte parsonage. And if you've ever been to Haworth, it's a bit of a Bronte theme park, really. So you can go down the high street, you can have a Heathcliff Knickerbocker Glory, you can go to the Villette Cafe, and the sort of things in the gift shop that you can buy. You can buy an Emily Bronte Pack-a-Mac. It's just hilarious. The hairdressers is called Jane Hare.
But Sue, wait, go back a moment. What is a Hackenbacker and a Klickenbach? And are those candy bars or something?
A Knickerbocker Glory is like a big ice cream sundae in a big glass that you eat with a long spoon.
Yeah.
I mean, just so funny. So we were on the floor just laughing at this whole Bronte experience and the kind of heritage industry surrounding the Brontes. And then we spoke to people queuing for the passage and said, what do you know about the Bronte sisters? And they say, well, one of them was called Jane Eyre and she wrote Pride and Prejudice. So you think, you know nothing.
Wow, oh my God.
This is quite funny. So, yeah, that's where the idea for the show was born.
Yeah, so we were really interested in the British heritage industry and how everything, you always end up in a gift shop. And then you've got these priceless things that belong to these amazing literary giants. And then you just think, oh, well, actually, I'll just I'll buy a tea towel. So our show was these two ladies who were creating this show, and they had their own trolley full of Bronte memorabilia. So Bronte Wind, we've got Bronte Wind, we've got Bronte pegs.
What are those Bronte Wind? And did you do sound effects for the audience?
We had bags of wind, so we would say this is authentic wind from the moors from Haworth.
Oh my gosh!
And these are authentic Bronte dolly pegs. We had a cassette of authentic weather sounds from the Bronte parsonage.
So did you have them
available as an app? Yeah,
like a little CD for them to take or something.
Yeah.
Did people buy them?
It's amazing. We had a visitor's book on the trolley, and people would write hilarious comments. And in fact, sometimes people would steal our pretend memorabilia. So I guess that's kind of flattering.
Well, I have to say, Louisa is Scottish, so she would make authentic Bronte biscuits, and they were delicious shortbread that we would hand out to our audience.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's right. Those were the Bronte biscuits. And you're talking about Audrey and Olivia. You created these literary mavens, so to speak. And how long did it take you to create Withering Looks?
It actually came very quickly.
Once we got the idea.
Okay. I was going to say earlier that, Jane Eyre is over 400 pages, and you managed to distill it to like three references or something. I mean, that it's just masterful what you do. you launched with Withering Looks, and did you run that for some time before you went into the next show? And like, how did that go that you created LipService? You decided, well, this was fun and a success, let's do more.
LipService was already we were already doing shows, but Withering Looks was the first literary, it was the first one where we felt we really knew. I think we'd really honed our skill with the other shows and doing the cabaret, of course. So that then you felt, oh, no, I know what I'm doing, and this is a new. We hadn't done sort of period drama, if I dare use that word loosely. So it was a delight because you were exploring something new, and we had a really good director, and we had a bit of money, to put the show on.
Yeah, we did. So my crinoline, Emily's crinoline in our show it's absolutely vast. You could have a small family live underneath it, And it was made of proper crinoline steel, which I think doesn't exist anymore. So it's a kind of an artifact of its own. And then, of course, we were absolutely terrified that the Bronte Parsonage would come and see the show and close us down. And then one night we were playing the theatre in Manchester, and word came that the curator of the museum was in the audience.
Wow.
And we thought, well, this is it. We'll be shut down. We'll never do it again.
Yeah.
And she loved it. And she said, if you work in the house all the time, the thing you want most of all is a good laugh.
Yes.
And so they asked us if they could put some of the set and props from our show was part of an exhibition in the parsonage.
Wow.
It was one of the most exciting days of our lives. We felt really proper.
Yes. Legitimized.
They wore white gloves.
To pick up our props.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, wow.
And they talked, because they're talking about very, very precious things, and they've got the precious thing in front of them, so they don't want to break it with their voice. They were doing exactly that with our props.
Did you, was it a huge success, Withering Looks, and did you tour it?
It was, yeah. It was the first award we ever won. We
What
won
award?
a Manchester Evening News Theatre Award, and then we went to the Edinburgh Fringe and we won the Critics' Award for Comedy.
Wait, did you say that you did the Fringe Festival?
Yeah, we did, yes.
That's huge. You won the Comedy Award there. I wonder if Vanna's daughter, that's how we discovered you. Wow.
You may well have done, yeah.
Yeah, because we were in the Edinburgh Suite at the Assembly Rooms, which is this massive Georgian pile, which has got loads of little studios, I grace them with the word studio, boxes where you can perform your show.
Okay. So you were performing in a very intimate space, probably packed. And as a result, this is the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is internationally known. And you won the comedy, what was it called again?
It was the Critics' Award for Comedy.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge. Did you have a director, or you just did all this on your own?
Yeah, no, we had Noreen Kershaw, who is a wonderful comedy actress. I mean, she directs television these days. She was absolutely fantastic and a big part of the success of that show, I think. And we went on to do 3 more shows, and subsequently we made a film of Withering Looks, actually in the Bronte Parsonage. They were having a bicentenary of all the sisters are having birthdays one after the other at the moment. So it was Charlotte's year, and they commissioned us to film the show in the actual parsonage, sitting on the chairs at the table where they wrote those books. And Maureen directed that. So, yeah, that was quite something.
That reminds me of when I saw Dorothy Parker's little table at the Algonquin Hotel and got to sit at the table because I had done a play about the Algonquin Roundtable Riders, which maybe you should look into doing something about those folks. They might be treasure trove for you too, to do all of those writers.
Mm.
So what was your next, after Withering Looks, having this hit and won the awards, what did you go to next?
Then it was a mystery, murder mystery, knit one, murder one.
Which was a
Okay.
sort of spoof Agatha Christie,
Uh-huh.
in which we played all the characters. So when that
course.
scene where Agatha Christie has all the suspects in a room at the end, that was lots of fun.
Oh, of course. And you did Very Little Women.
We did. You should have seen that, Louanne. You'd have laughed at our American accents.
Have you ever done television in the UK?
We've done bits. We have done bits, and we had a radio series, which is weirdly, the BBC have just repeated our radio series, which we made 30 years ago, but it does feature scenes from Withering Looks.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
on Radio 4 Extra, and I think you can get it on iPlayer, can't you?
Is it on BBC Sounds? I think you can
Sounds,
listen to it.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. But I have you, do you have agents? Are you acting in, or are you just pretty much focused on theater?
Yeah,
and
we've
your
got
shows?
agents, but this is the main thing that we're interested in. And, to be honest, we did have commissioners interested in developing. Oh, they always talked about developing you, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they would ask for a sketch show, and then they'd say, or we'd say, could we do Withering Looks, but a version of it? And we had a version that we wanted to do as a sort of episodic thing. And they said, yeah, no, this is so exciting. This is so brilliant. We love Withering Looks. La, 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 la. And then they'd say, actually, can we? That could just be one sketch, couldn't it, in a whole sketch show? And you just think, oh, how much work is that? And we're on tour. And we've got children. No, it's not going to work.
Oh, because I could see you bringing Olivia and Audrey back to, do a Nibbles version of so many pieces of literature. But also, with my casting director hat on, I would be casting you both in a lot of those hilarious UK comedies.
Indeed.
Do you need me to come over there and get you guys going?
That would be wonderful, Louanne, yeah.
Well,
yeah, if you could organise that, that'd be great.
We could organise that, yeah, because we're,
I have to have a chat with your agents, but moving right along. So how many of these spoofs, if I may use that word, it's too reductive, really. How many of your shows have you done? You write them, you perform in them. Occasionally you'll allow another actor in, but usually it's just the two of you. Isn't that true?
That's right, yes. I think we've done about 22.
Wow.
Because we're terribly old now.
No, you're not. Oh, no. If you could see them, they are just darling, delightful, animated, and beautiful. You were, when we were putting this together, you were in Spain. What were you doing in Spain? Because you said you were rehearsing.
We were in the middle of rehearsals, but we booked, because of COVID, we booked this holiday like 2 years ago, and it's been postponed. And then finally, we had to go on this holiday, and suddenly you could. So that was quite exciting.
It's our regular place to go and then just chill and just have ideas.
I see.
Just say, we could do this, or we could do that. Oh.
Kind of like a creative retreat.
Yeah.
So what is this latest show, and when will it be birthed?
It's called Chateau Ghoul, and it is we play Brian and Brenda Binns, who run a hotel in Yorkshire, and they do themed weekends. So they do a psychic weekend, they do things like mushroom foraging, but whatever they do, everyone dies. There's always some terrible accident.
So have you finished writing it?
Yes, we're rehearsing at the moment, and we open at the end of the month. We open.
Now, do you have your own theater, or where will you open? Do you open in different places?
Yeah, so we're opening at the Lowry Theatre in Salford, which is part of Manchester, and then we will be on a national tour next year. So we'll go the length and breadth of the UK next year.
Do you always open at the same theater? Is that sort of the LipService theater?
No, it changes every time.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
it depends on people's availabilities. And also, post-COVID, a lot of venues are still really hesitant
here too.
about getting audiences in. So I don't know, how
interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Do you have somebody who books for you all the tour? You don't do that as well, I hope. No. Okay. And do you always you're so established, you pretty much have an audience built in when you go touring? People know who you are?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we've got people who've been coming to see us for over 30 years.
Wow.
But during COVID, we did lots of Zoom performances, which we've never done before, and we tried to make them interactive. And what was so lovely about that was there was quite a few older people who would say, I used to come and see you, but my husband's got dementia now, so I can't go out. So this is perfect. And do you mind if he wanders round in the background? And you think, this is great because it's accessible, and it's accessible to people who have become a bit disabled over time. And it's a way of them reconnecting with our work.
Exactly. Oh, that's just lovely. So do you think you're going to try to integrate Zoom regularly, or that was sort of a result of the pandemic?
I think it was a really useful way of keeping our audiences involved in what we were doing. So we could say we're creating this show, and this is going to be a Zoom show, which is like a taster of the live show. But we created on Zoom a kind of live event in it, because we got the audience to make little paper windmills to create a wind. And it was really lovely when you got everyone on gallery view, and you could see everybody'd made these paper windmills, and they were blowing on them to create this wind. We had said this is going to be a vital part of the show.
Pay attention, audience.
So if you don't make one, it's going to wreck it.
That is a dedicated audience you have fostered over the years, and that they stick with you on Zoom. And then actually, like you said, the benefit of that is those who couldn't access you by going to a theater, they're able to enjoy it on their computers. That's really exciting. That's such an antithesis to the notion of how Zoom is used, right, with these boring meetings that companies make their employees sit on their laptops and tune out. But to have a successful theater production via Zoom is rare. So I think you've found a great solution. That's really exciting. I want to know if you would be so kind as to read a sample of something, one of your shows.
Okay, well, this is one of the things we did do during the pandemic was we were approached by the Elizabeth Gaskell House. And Elizabeth Gaskell was a Victorian writer who was really good friends with Charlotte Bronte. Yeah. Charlotte Bronte went to stay with Mrs. Gaskell on occasions, and she famously hid behind the curtains because she was so shy.
Oh, my gosh.
Mrs. Gaskell would always have a house full of literary guests. She knew everyone. She knew Ruskin. Dickens was her agent.
Wow.
Just, all the kind of Victorian celebs were mates with Mrs. Gaskell, and Charlotte went to stay and hid behind the curtains.
Oh, my God. So did Mrs. Gaskell invite Charlotte Bronte to?
She did. She did. I think she came 2 or 3 times to stay in Manchester. Yeah. And Mrs. Gaskell went to see Charlotte over in Haworth. And then when Charlotte had died, Mrs. Gaskell wrote a really scandalous biography of Charlotte, which caused a huge...
Really? What was scandalous about it?
It was about her relationship with her father and how controlling her father was. And
But
basically,
she also just blew the cover off Branwell's affair with his employer's wife. And it was just like, oh my God.
It's like an early gossip column or something.
yeah.
But what was Elizabeth Gaskell older than Charlotte?
Yeah, a little bit, I think. Yes. She lived longer than Charlotte. Yeah, I think she was more famous than Charlotte at this point.
Oh.
But she was certainly a big fan and a proponent and trying to introduce her into society.
Oh God. What about Emily? Did they
No,
have
Emily went nowhere, I think.
She didn't. Oh gosh. It's just so tragic to think of this every time of the incredible work they created, and they were so saddled with sad neuroses. So, Sue, would you tell the audience how they can find you? You mentioned there are videos they could watch. Anybody who's in the UK or going to the UK might want to look you up to find a show if it's running.
Yeah, so all our tour dates are on our website, which is lipservicetheatre.co.uk.
Theater with R-E, is that correct? Theater
Yes, that's
R-E.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
Ari. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. And do put theatre in, otherwise you'll end up with pornography, I'm afraid. So,
Lip service.
and the extract we're going to do is from a little film that we made for the Elizabeth Gaskell House, and you can see that. You can rent it on their website. And I think, actually, I don't know what their website is, but if you put in Elizabeth Gaskell's house, you will reach their website. And our little film is in their shop, and it's called Between the Covers Literary Liaisons.
So quickly, though, did you contact them to say, like you dreamed this up at one point, right, in all of your creative ruminations?
They contacted us. So when their house first opened, they asked us to do a show. We did a show which was like a promenade around the house. So that was about 5 years ago, and they said, oh, please, would you come back? And we're celebrating. They've just done up her bedroom and put in a 4-poster bed. So they wanted a film to talk about her bedroom, but also about all the people that visited the house. So that's how this little film. Oh,
that's perfect with the Brontes, I see. Okay. So Maggie Fox and Sue Ryding are going to read from a newer piece. And are you going to tour this tour? It's just going to be the film.
It's just a film that we made that's still available. Yeah.
And tell us the title again.
Okay, so it's Between the Covers Literary Liaison. And in this scene, Mrs. Gaskell is showing off her rather grand drawing room and notices a bit of a bulge behind the curtains. You ready, Maggie?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Don't you love my drawing room? Such an extravagant house, I know, but with the number of guests we have visiting, plus William's parishioners, not that I'd let them in here, we certainly need the space. Herm's forgotten to open these curtains. Let there be light.
Mrs. Gaskell.
Charlotte Bronte, famous authoress of Jane Eyre and Villette, my dearest friend, recently come to visit from Haworth. What are you doing hiding behind the curtains, Charlotte, dear?
Oh, dear, Mrs. Gaskell, you've got so many visitors, and I cannot meet a stranger.
Oh, well, Miss Bronte is to be married to Mr. Nichols, her father's curate. Her father is livid. He thinks she should marry someone higher, or at least farther removed from poverty. She recounted me the scene when she asked her father to see more of Mr. Nichols. She won't mind me telling you.
That's private.
So she goes to her father and she says, Father, I am not a young girl, not a young woman even. I never was pretty. I now am ugly. Well, she's brutally honest on that front, and I cannot contradict her. I must marry a curate if I marry at all, and what's more, I must marry your curate, and what's more, he'll have to live here because you're blind and I cannot leave you. So Mr. Bronte leaves the room and slams the door, shouting, Noi! Never! He was from Northern Ireland. I can't really do the accent.
This is private.
So clearly he'd better hang fire, but then the servant gets involved, goes to the old man and says, "Do you want to kill your only remaining child?" And then goes to Mr. Nichols and says, "Grow a pair." And so, to cut a long story short, they're going to be wed. Charlotte, do come out. We have a visitor all the way from America. Harriet Beecher Stowe has come to pay us a visit.
Harriet Beecher Stowe, all three of them. Oh.
I thought I was going to get to hear Harriet Beecher Stowe now.
Well, Harriet Beecher Stowe was played by another actor, so...
Okay. Oh, that was hilarious. If you could all see them too, they're so fun to watch. That was very, very entertaining. We'll have to look for that on the website, the Elizabeth Gaskell website, or certainly LipService website. Thank you for treating us to that. What do you think? Oh, so the latest show that you're going to be touring in a month or so, I think. No, you're going to perform locally and then take it on tour.
Yeah.
And then how much of a break do you give yourselves till you come up with another gem?
Well, we've sort of got a new idea, which might be transatlantic, actually. So we had the idea of different authors continuing a story, so a bit like the game Consequences, where someone starts a story and the next person carries on. So we thought we could have Jane Austen and the Brontes and Mrs. Gaskell, but we could also have Louisa May Alcott. We could have Harriet Beecher Stowe. So that's one idea we've got.
Well, you have to keep creating, keep performing forever. You tickle my funny bone incessantly. I just love everything you do. From what I've been able to watch clips, you can see clips. Everybody should know this on the website. And as I say, Withering Looks is very close to my heart. It is a brilliant piece of writing, and we have fun doing it every time. And I hope everybody tunes in to listen to the recording. Thank you to Maggie Fox and Sue Ryding of LipService. This has been such a special treat to meet you.
Thank you, Louanne.
Thank you, Louanne, to finally meet you. Great. Lovely.
I'm cherishing it.